Welcome back in the live stream and welcome back live on stage right here at the SimRacing Expo 2024. My name is Matt and now we're going to deep dive into sim racing overall, like into the past, into the current status, but also into the future. We discussed the question, is this the golden age of sim racing, with Kevin Bobbitt from iRacing, with Jay Chardon from RaceRoom, with Xavier Bichot from Thrustmaster, and also Jann Mardenborough is here, sim racing icon and subject of the Gran Turismo movie. They all together with Luke have fun with the panel now.
Oh, there we go. Round of applause. Love that. Thank you very much. Yeah, welcome to the panel. I'm going to be honest. There's not much written down here on this card. It is the golden eras of sim racing. So we're just going to talk about what our golden eras were, whether it's currently, it could be 20 years ago. But first of all, if we could introduce yourselves from JF all the way down, that'd be wonderful.
All right. So I'm JF Chardon. I'm working for Cadbury Studios on RaceRoom, which is a free-to-play game on Steam. And I'm a head of studio today. So,
hello everyone, I'm Xavier Bichot from Thrustmaster team. Work in the marketing department, basically responsible for product launches. And this is the first time that we are here at the expo, so it's a pleasure to be here.
And I'm Jann Mardenborough. I'm a gamer turned racing driver. I've been racing since 2011, started on Gran Turismo and had a movie made about my part of my career. And yeah, happy to be here and see the development of sim racing.
And I'm Kevin Bobbitt, head of marketing and comms for iRacing. Super excited to be here and join this panel with some pretty interesting people here.
Wonderful. Well, simple question, guys. What was your golden era of sim racing? Is it now? Was it 20 years ago? What was your favorite game you ever played?
Well, I don't want to say golden era, because I think golden era is now, because you know, when I was a teenager, kind of coming home from school, and my parents are kind of on my back the whole time, telling me to revise for lessons and exams, and I'm trying to play. Well, at the time it was Forza 3, Forza 4 on Xbox, and then on PlayStation, playing Gran Turismo, and you know, I'm online, racing online all the time. I'd have my kind of friendship group on a forum, and those are good times. I remember those times vividly, but I would say the golden era is now. Really, 2020 was cool as well. I think that was a really cool time, and it really pushed the industry forward, because everybody was kind of locked in their house, and you'd have real race drivers race against the great sim drivers, and you had that convergence, and then everybody wanted to have a simulator, everyone across the world. So I think that those 2 periods of time were great, and even today, it's you know, I'm seeing manufacturers that I've never seen before come out and produce amazing products. So I think even right now, it's a great time for the whole industry. There's so much variety in simulation, software, but also hardware as well. So I think it's even today, it's fantastic.
yeah. For me, I started sim racing early 2000s. And, you know, back then we didn't have the hardware that is currently available. So you either had like Logitech or Thrustmaster, and there was like very little choice. So there were no hardware discussions on the forums of our communities. It was very little. You just had a wheel or you didn't. And these days, I mean, you have sim rigs everywhere. You have the plethora of choice. So from that point of view, it definitely is a golden age from the choice available for starting sim racing, for improving your experience also. It's just amazing.
So, for sure. Yeah, I mean, my first racing game was probably Need for Speed Pursuit on Wii. And by this time, you can drive the car with your remote, you know. I don't know if you can even recall that sim racing, but it was something at this time. And yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun with many racing games, even at Gamepad, but I'm sure we can't say that Golden Age is not now, because just look at here. There is plenty of brand new products every month. This is crazy. Even compared to last year, this is crazy, and people are more attracted by sim racing, even if it's beginners or experts. There is much more than a few years ago. So basically, Golden Age can't be anything else than today.
So
totally agreed. You couldn't have an event like this, an expo, like if it wasn't the Golden Age. And to announce another one in the U.S. next year, I mean, it's amazing. Even a few years ago, who would have thought that? I've been coming to this expo for 10 years, and it's grown a lot. I mean, the quality of the stands, the quality of the gear, the variety of the gear, the amount of software, it's amazing. I mean, my first game was not a sim. It was probably it was a little handheld plastic thing made by, I don't know, Delico or something. It had 3 little red dots, and you would just move a little arrow, and that's how you raced. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I guess that's dating me, but now, I mean, things are so close to reality. Whatever title you're into, there's an option for you. I might be partial to iRacing, but you know, there's some other good ones out there, and you know, whatever type of racing you want, you can find it.
Yeah, for me, like my first memory is Ridge Racer. That's like the game that made me fall in love with racing games. I fell in love with racing games before I fell in love with actual motorsport, to be honest. What was the game or maybe an event or something you saw that made you fall in love with gaming or sim racing?
I couldn't hear the question. I'm sorry. What was the game that was?
Yeah, well, what was the event or the game that made you fall in love with sim racing?
Oh, it was for me. It was GT Legends. I was actually back then. I was hyped for GTR 2, and I bought the Thrustmaster wheel, waiting for the game to come out. And I had the wheel but no game, so I bought GT Legends, and I just stuck to it. So and then that's how I became addicted or stepped into the sim racing industry, because I became a beta tester for Subin Studios back then, and found my way like a fish all the way here. So GT Legends is the one I would mark.
I'm trying to delve back into my memory, and I guess the first thing that got me interested in sim racing was Toka touring cars. And so at the same time, I was watching British touring cars on TV. I didn't understand Formula One because they didn't look like a car to me. But Toka touring cars, I could kind of relate to the car on the street, and then play the game and have my I don't know, Ford Mondeo, that racing that I saw on TV on the weekend. So I think that was the starting point for me.
The Yellow Lagoon is my favorite car of all time, by the way.
It is, and the Nescafe livery as well. It was fantastic.
Do you remember where you could cheat to get the tank?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I've just unlocked the memory and the lava map.
iRacing are working on both those things. So that's great.
Yeah, for me, some of the early console F1 games got me really into F1. I would play the track that was, you know, the week, and back then it was much harder to watch F1 in the U.S. It's changed a lot, but I wouldn't call those sims, but they were racing games, and I really got hooked. And then, you know, life happens, and I found iRacing, this little startup company that was looking for a little help on the marketing side, and it was like, oh, I wonder where this is going to go. It seems interesting. Let me give it a shot. And, you know, 17, 18 years later, I'm still here on stage with you guys. So,
for me, I mean, I loved it. I fell in love with racing game, with the Need for Speed game, because I was, as a kid, I was really into tuning car stuff. Like going on tuning show with my father was something, even if I was like 10. But yeah, it was not sim racing back in this time. My first race with sim racing was GT Sports. Maybe most like lot of guy at my age. And then I discovered that racing game shouldn't be played with a gamepad and just with steering. So yeah, that was my first step, and then I keep continue. I used to be a PlayStation guy at this time, so GT was the only option.
So for you, Jann, it's a specific question. Obviously, you were the original from sim to real, if you like, the original story that people are trying to follow. It's happening more and more now. At what point did you realize that it was more than just a game to have fun with, and you could actually genuinely compete?
Well, I never had that thought process really when I was playing was mainly at the time playing Gran Turismo on PS3. I never had the thoughts of, you know, this is used as a tool to turn myself into a driver. It wasn't really in my mind. I didn't think that big, but I was aware of the competition, that there was a competition going around where the winner has a chance to become a professional driver. I was in a stage of my life where I was pretty much the bottom status-wise. It was awful, and I entered just to see how far I can go. not to win. I didn't think I could win. I thought, okay, there's a door opening. How far can I walk through the door and find another door, get to the next step? And then I asked myself the same question as you asked me. So when I'm walking up to a GTR for the first time at Silverstone on the full GP circuit, my road car has 130 horsepower. I'd never driven on the track. I'd never done karting. I'd never been on a track day. And I'm stepping into a GTR for the first time, the first gen 485 horsepower car. I'm like, how's this gonna feel? I had an instructor next to me, and what was staggering to me at the time was when I'll be trail braking the car, so the car's really on its nose, entering like a long sweeping corner, and I can feel the moment I touch the throttle, the four-wheel drive system shift the power to the front axle. I felt that because it was the same feeling I get on Gran Turismo when I'm in the same situation. So that same feeling through my hands. I could feel the power shift. And then I'd, of course, get on the throttle. I feel the power shift to the rear once the front has started to lose grip. And I'd get an oversteer moment. And I'm like, okay, this feels the same as the game. So I'm like, as I'm doing my first laps ever on a real circuit, I'm just logging what feels same. I have this weird feeling in my back because I've never felt a car move beneath me before because I sit on a static simulator at home. So that took some time to kind of develop with my eyes and also what I'm feeling through my hands. But yeah, it felt natural to me. So I'm really the proof that you can go virtual, proper virtual, not you've done some karting when you're 7 or 8 years old and then you stopped and then you used a simulator. I did nothing. My karting was when I went to a friend's birthday party and paid for £20 to drive for half an hour. So it is, for me, I was the first step on the ladder, and especially now with simulations and the software you have in the equipment is so advanced now, and you have telemetry from the real cars getting implemented into the software today. It's so advanced. So yeah, at the time, I didn't think it was possible because I didn't think about it. It wasn't really my conscious. But for sure, it's of course, it's proof now. It's completely possible to go from virtual to reality.
I think we're pretty unanimous in that right now is the golden era of sim racing, or gaming, motor gaming. What do we need to do for it to continue to grow and to continue to fill out messa halls here in Dortmund? Like last year, we were maybe 2/3 of this. Now we're filling up the whole area. What do we need to do for this growth to continue?
Yeah, in the topic of Golden Age of SimRacing, there is the idea of what comes next. Because if this is the Golden Age, you either keep rising or you just fall a bit. So it's interesting to me that motorsports Golden Age is behind us. We keep saying that, cars were louder before. They were making a lot more noise. They were more exciting. And you can see, the spectators, amount of spectators in the grandstands going lower and lower and lower. And while that's happening in real life, the sim racing scene is rising. So that's a bit of an interesting something to notice. And so it's what comes next would be my question. How do you keep improving? That's the challenge to tackle.
I like the crossover that you have. You have here today, you have car manufacturers, you have simulator companies that have race cars on their stands. For me, I'll tell you, I'm not, yes, I do sim racing still occasionally for fun, but I'm a professional driver now. So maybe I'm not the right guy to say how to bring simulation forward, but what I would like to see if I was still a sim driver full time was the more tapping in more to the motorsport. So when I see simulator events at motorsport events, like last year you had a championship in Europe called the SRO Fanatec GT World Challenge, and they would have each team would have a simulator driver, and there'll be a simulator race at each weekend, and sometimes there'll be a delegated race driver that had to do a sim race as well. But the points from the sim would contribute to the overall championship of the real life racing. For me, I like that because it brings validity to sim racing world, because at the moment it's still quite separate. Occasionally motorsport gets involved and they dip in and out, but that really solidifies it. So I like the partnership of real life motorsports, and you see the equipment as well. Like here, you have real life race wheels that can interchange from a race car to a simulator, the pedals. So more of that, I think it gives it a lot more validity.
I would just add, we need more people, right? So we want to fill this hall or a bigger hall, right? So let's get more people introduced to this. Whether if they're not already sim racers, maybe they play racing games and it's a bit more casual. Some percentage of them are going to say, "Wow, this is really cool." And what's the next level? How do we get those people interested? I think that having the big brands that we have here, the car manufacturers, like you pointed out, that helps. A lot of the brands that we work with at iRacing are reaching out to their customers who may not know about sim racing, but they can learn about it. Initiatives like the Women's Arena is a fantastic thing, right? That's a market that's been severely underrepresented in sim racing. You know, the overall gaming market, it's much more even, not quite, but it's much better. Here in sim racing, it's been a boys' club for a long time, and I think we need to expand that and get other groups to enjoy our passion, our hobby, right? I mean, everybody here loves what we do, whether you're working it, whether you're racing it, whether you're a coach, a painter. There's all kinds of things you can do in this industry, and we just need to let, it sounds basic, but we need more people to know about it.
Yeah, and I fully agree about this. I think as a manufacturer in this industry, we have a responsibility to attract more people. Otherwise, sim racing will be soon a sport for all guys like us. I mean, in the future.
You speak for yourself.
But I mean, if we don't attract new people every year, then the hype will be lower and the golden age will be behind us. So we need to continue pushing the sim racing, and as manufacturer, we also need to provide good hardware at affordable price, because it's very good to see how the technology has improved. We have now simulators which such a level of technology inside. This is completely crazy, and you can find a lot of here. But also we must not forget the beginners, and the beginners also need good stuff to get hyped by the sim racing at affordable price. So I truly believe that we must also focus on beginners and a good balance between performance and trace to get the hype, to get people attracted by the sim racing. And when they try a product for the first time, they're like, wow, this is crazy and this is not expensive. So I can jump into this new passion and then improve and having expensive stuff. But at the beginning, start with something good.
It's actually interesting to know who are the new sim racers. For example, who are the new iRacing members who are subscribing right now? What age are they? Are you seeing more women? Are you seeing younger kids? I think you need to be 18 or to have a credit card at least.
13
in your case. Or who is buying Thrustmaster wheels these days? We know a lot about beginners here because we are at RaceRoom. We are free to play on Steam. That means that anybody vaguely interested in motorsport can just download the game. So we see that the age is, interestingly enough, going lower and lower. So that's a great sign. And this weekend, what I've seen is generations of sim racers. I've seen small kids and I've seen old people. And it's really nice to see these generations coming together this weekend. And so,
I mean, here we saw some kids, they can barely touch the pedals. And this is a really expert show. We've been to a Paris Motor Show a few years ago, and it was mostly that with kids. And I truly think that this is the new sim racers in the future, because they try the product out of nowhere, like with a dad and the kids, and then they discover this is the crazy stuff. So
we had a drift experience at the RaceRoom booth, and the best drifting I've seen was a 10-year-old who couldn't reach the brake. He didn't need the brake; he only needed the handbrake. So,
tell you what, Jeff, you're ahead of the salesman. I'll give you that. So, final question from me, and I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult for you two, particularly. Can't mention your own game. What is the best sim racing or motor gaming or game you've ever played, and why?
It's a difficult question because you have like different point of views. Like, what is the best? Earlier you asked like, what is the best experience you had in sim racing from the past? That was GT Legends. Obviously, today I'm gonna say it's RaceRoom. That's no surprise to you.
Because in the rule.
because that's the product I believe in. That's the product that we are, putting our heart in for 10 years, more than 10 years actually. It's 2024 now, so it's been 13 years. And it's a small team of 15 people working for their passion. And
I respect you, but it's a boring answer.
I can. Oh, sorry. So yeah.
Oh, well, I think so. Asked me maybe 15 years ago, I'd have a different opinion. But right now, I use a simulator as a tool, and the best tool that I use to develop my skills in the real race car is iRacing. And it's not because you're sat next to me, but it forces me to be accurate with my inputs on iRacing, which helps with my accuracy in real life. So that's why it's my tool, my go-to tool.
I think it truly depends on what you like, to be honest. We all know that iRacing is one of the best force feedback feeling, but RaceRoom is also great. We had ACC since years now. ACF, I didn't have a chance to try it yet. But
Either. I'm very curious.
yeah, but still, I mean, I really think that some simulation has their own strengths, and sometimes you can prefer that type of force feedback feeling, and some other guys will prefer the other one. So I think it's really depend on every single guy.
Shelly, right? Dude, no, look that way. Look, cut you off.
Hello?
Spoke on your dad.
No, okay.
I was going to say iRacing, but I was cut off. So I think GPL was a game that there's some connections to iRacing, but when I played it, it made me realize just how hard racing was, right? I mean, that game is hard to play, but as a kid and when I was younger, I kind of thought racing was, oh, that's easy. It's just driving a car, right? There's nothing, the same thing, right? But it's not. It's a totally different skill set, and that made me appreciate that. I never got very good at it, but on GPL, but it made me appreciate it and want to learn more. Like, what is this racing thing? Why is it different than driving to the store? And so that would be my choice.
Yeah, nostalgia is a very powerful tool for me. Is Tonka touring cars, but I will never play it again, so I don't want it to be ruined for me. But thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. That's a nice panel there to discuss the golden eras of sim racing. We're going to head off for a couple of minutes. Yeah, you can give a round of applause if you like. No worries. We're going to head off for a couple of minutes, guys, and then we're going to end the show with me and Matza.